anything in for items 5?
No, the Department of Public Works did a great job getting ready for Sleigh Bell. The tree I thought was really beautiful, so kudos to their team
Absolutely.
for all of that.
Yeah, a lot of work.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Financials, item 7, from November 2021. Total expenses of $23,626.95. We do need approval for those. Those are all budgeted, correct?
Yes.
Any questions for Christina on that? I would entertain a motion at this point. Thank you, Bruce.
Second.
Thank you, Jody. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried, I think. No? Good morning. Review of the annual audit. We don't think that we need to approve this, do we? You know, Bill?
I think you should kind of accept and file is usually how
Okay.
a lot of those are sinking in.
Okay. You want to make a motion to accept and file?
I'll make that motion.
Thanks, Bruce.
Second.
Thanks, Jody. Any discussion on it? Anything you want to bring up?
No, I think it went really well for our second audit. Everything came out clean. There was no significant findings that we need to address. So we are going to put some accounting, internal accounting practices in place which weren't part of the audit, but I've asked some questions. So we're going to just get some procedures together. Carmen and I are both doing that so we can double check the work that's being done.
Thanks for your work on that.
Just a request, since you're doing that, which is excellent, you should memorialize that with a letter to the board summarizing the changes.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thanks, Bruce. Any further discussion or questions? Okay, hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried, thank you. Director's report, Christine.
Short and sweet. Tonight is ladies' night, so going to get some promotion on that. We did promotion for Black Friday downtown. Thanksgiving, we'll have some holiday stuff going up after ladies and men's night. Worked on Sleigh Bell, of course, and the audit, and then scheduling the work session. So that was the majority of the work this current month. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. We have a long list today.
Great. Thank you. Mr. Miller.
If it's all right with the chair, I'll sit up here.
Please.
Makes jobs, Barry's job of filming a little bit easier, so we'll do that. Screw. Okay, so what I'm here to do today is talk about or give or provide the quarterly report for economic development. Just to start out with a 15,000 or 15,000 foot view, that's a good one, is that we have a 3-year contract, the chamber with the DDA for $15,000 a year. And besides the reporting, which we have to do here quarterly, the contract spells out that the executive director of the DDA is supposed to talk with me monthly. It's more like daily, and we can yell through the walls at each other, so that's been a big improvement, right? There's a few things in the contract I just want to cover with you to kind of set the stage here and to remind you of what we do. One is that in the contract there was a requirement to develop an entrepreneurial day, and we accomplished that in March of this year. And we put the proceedings online. It was virtual, so we filmed everything. 6 different sessions. We got 5 of the 6. The other one was 3 hours long. So we put it up on our website, so it's available to everyone. And we've been referring entrepreneurs to that for a variety of things. One of them is to help develop a business plan. A lot of the businesses we see wing it, and those are the ones that have a hard time being successful. So that was really important for us to put forward. So we've been referring a lot of people to that. The second thing in the contract that I want to point out to you is that it says to market and develop large downtown properties. And they use the word, we use the word may, not shall, so it's what we could do. But I just want to run through this list for you. The Gateway project, number one. The vacant restaurant at 440 West River Street. Hotel Northern, Amore, Jones Building at 453 West River Street. The Senior Center, and then the vacant building at 319 River. Just so you know, we have had a hand in a lot of these, but you know, for condos, Hotel Northern's been purchased and is moving forward with the site plan. The Senior Center is now occupied by the ice cream shop, and 319, 321 is an art studio. And we've worked with almost every one of those, or all of those, in some capacity to help them with downtown. The other three, the Gateway, the Amore site, and the Jones Building, are things that I'm actively working on. And I just want to point out too, for the, you know, to point out the $15,000 a year that the DDA provides. If you were to take roughly what I'm worth an hour and calculate that out, I probably spend 3 to 5 hours a week on the Gateway project. When you calculate that out times 50 weeks a year, maybe 2 weeks of vacation, that's $15,000 right there. So the value we're providing from this contract, in addition to the city and other investors in the private public sector, are getting you more than what you're probably would expect in the private sector for this time. If I billed you directly, we'd be well over the contract. So I just want to point that out in a not so blunt way, but that is where we're at with the larger picture. So to cover some of what we've been doing, the work on the Gateway project has been picking up, and in the last quarter, certainly in the last 5 months, and it's been a very positive thing. I think you've seen some movement. The city brownfield, and the developers have been working towards demolition, which, if all the approvals go correctly, could be happening in the first quarter 2022. So we're hoping that will show some momentum for folks. But things are going well there. But it's a very large, remind people, it's a very large and complex project. Very complex project. And so we're very happy, the Chamber is very happy in working with some great partners, and Little River Holdings, part of the tribe, Little River Band, is absolutely committed, and it's fantastic to work with. So we're getting there, but again, it's large, complex, and it's going to take some time. For Connos is moving along. I think any restaurant is going to have some issues with a number of things in the past year, and Ted is working through this, very committed. His general contractor, Rick Slater, has been there daily within the last month. I was there yesterday. I drove away from work. He was still around 5:30, still working on the building. So they are making progress inside. Supply chain issues are the issue here. Some of the key components for the kitchen that need to be replaced are just not going to come. And so we're probably looking for them to be delivered in the first quarter of 2022. So it's been a challenge, but Ted's very committed, and if you've met him, you know he's passionate. So he's wanting to get it open, and I try to talk to Rick as much as I can to make sure everything's calm.
Hey Mark, on that note, just so you know, he did open on Slate and invited people in, and I heard some lovely things about him. He had food and was giving away wine, and so they're really trying to be part of the community and contribute that evening.
He also did that for Hops and Props. That's really good. So he is trying to be part of the community. As part of our contracts with other entities, we do business retention visits, and we have been doing those downtown, and businesses who are interested in downtown. So we have gone to places like Downtown Delights, and we've been helping Joanne Snee with Purple Paintbrush. We've been working with others in the district to expand or think about how they want to proceed. And so those are things that are included there. And I think that there's a good deal of interest in downtown with the investment from the college and from the hotel projects, both of them, that people are looking to invest here. And so we're seeing that with our already established local businesses, and that's a really positive thing. Some other key points, we have been entertaining some high-level VIPs lately. It started with the MEDC CEO, Quentin Messer, walked him through downtown, showed him all the things that the DDA has done previously and been a part of. Bluefish, the Vogue, North Channel Brewing. We walked him through some of our redevelopment-ready community sites that have been prioritized by the city. So the Jones Building for condos, and had a really good visit with him and show him the importance. Then we had an opportunity a couple weeks later, thanks to Stacy, to bring in the Lieutenant Governor, Garland Gilchrist. And we sat in this room and brought business leaders and the mayor together to talk about economic development, and we had a whole host of things. It was a wide-ranging conversation, very positive. But that momentum helps us with MEDC. It helps us garner the support for things like support for the Gateway Project. And so it was a very positive outcome, and we were able to do that because we were nimble and working together and making things happen. I know and appreciate your help in putting together some materials for, not just me, but all of us. We appreciate your support for putting together some materials for downtown. Two other things I want to point out. We had an opportunity with MEDC to apply for a Match on Main grant program, $25,000 max for a community that's either an RRC community or a Main Street community. We're an RRC community. Bill Gamble gave the green light for us to work through this at the chamber, and we applied on behalf of Bluefish for a potential outdoor dining expansion. And we should know on December 13th or whereabouts whether that grant will be approved. So that's a big deal. We did approach other businesses through our business retention business and knew of expansion plans, but nobody was really prepared to do the homework because it did require some work.
There was a quick turnaround on it as well.
Huh?
There was a fast turnaround.
There was a fast turnaround.
Okay.
So I disappeared for a few days and wrote. The other thing that's coming up is that with business retention discussions with the Princess, it's now the Princess tour boat, not the Princess of Ludington. So Ludington has been dropped. So on the registry with the Coast Guard and other entities, it's the Princess of Manistee, but the boat says the Princess. Al Loxman, the owner, operator of the tour boat company, is committed to Manistee. He's staying. He's not going anywhere. And that's really good news for us. And the most recent news, and thanks to Jeff McCula, he's reached out to Al after I had a conversation with Al, and it looks like in order to save money and cut costs, working with the marina, Al would like to try to overwinter in the river channel, which is possible. And this year, we're going to be seeing some experiments with a bubbler to keep it ice-free. I wouldn't go into that, but the bubbler and maybe an ice boom. So, we are making progress there with Al, and, he brings a lot, and he's exploring partnerships to enhance the tour boat experience. So, really good guy, and so that's where we're at with him. I think that's probably a good place to stop. There's always more, but if you have questions, I would love to hear them, and we can have a little bit further conversation.
Any questions from the board now, for Mark?
Yeah, are we still redevelopment ready? I mean, is there things that we have to do to, and those are ongoing? How long are we certified redevelopment ready?
Pretty much until the first quarter 2022. So we have to do annual reports, and we work with the county planning department, which is the city zoning administrator contract. We have to work with them for the reports with MEDC. And so we share some of that responsibility, but the chamber does do a lot of that, all the legwork. The last thing that there was a report in the summer that we participated with, but it basically involved our annual prioritization, which I might actually be moving to every 2 years, so that would be good.
So do we have enough buildings on the list now? Because a lot of the ones that you mentioned have been,
It's a fluid situation, and that was part of the problem with putting up property cards and to do that. We're going to leave the Amore sign site on. It was on, but wasn't reprioritized because of the housing project. But we'll leave that one on. It's kind of an executive decision. We have 4 others that are open and possible. The Jones Building, River Street Station, Family Video Store on Cypress Street, and I'm missing one.
Next to Goodies.
No. So I'll get you, I can get you the list, but almost all of those are downtown and in the district, so Family Video is the only one that's not. But they're all focused down
let
here.
us know if we need to pick more sites.
We will do that, like, if we need to, we'll add on from the list that was extended, because we had a scoring, and it took me a long time to figure out how to score it.
Yeah.
But we have a scoring sheet, and so there's a list that fell below the line, and we decided to cut it off where we cut it off. But the other reason, just so for transparency, the one that we cut off was the chamber building. I kind of felt like it'd be a little bit gratuitous to put that on the list, so that's the next one down, and there's a few others below that. But we can revisit that list or reprioritize at the appropriate time. City Council, the boards and commissions like planning and historic district, they were all involved in that, so we want to make sure we respect that process.
Wonderful. Any other questions for Mark?
No one's, they're scared to ask a question because they get a 10-minute answer.
It's pretty concise. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Moving on to old business, bond action. I have been working on forming a work group. I've had a lot of individual conversations, so I hope to have that formed hopefully in the next week and try to have a meeting, I'd like to have a meeting in December yet, so we can push forward on a streetscape project, so. Anybody have any questions or comments about this item? Cool.
How you put it together?
Yes.
How big of it?
Initially, I'm thinking 8 to 10.
Okay.
And then there's kind of a second tier once we get further down to include more of a cross-section.
Okay.
But just to kind of get some of these initial things going, I was thinking 8 to 10. New business, if it's okay, I just wanted to put a quick, just because it was so recent, sleigh bell recap. Don't have any final numbers back yet, not that that's the biggest thing, but just anybody have any comments about the weekend? Publicly or send them to Christina, but I know that, like I said in the last meeting, this was something that the chamber took on for the DDA outside of our contract, so we need to start right away on working on how we're going to handle sleigh bell next year and in the future. So thank you very much for all this. It was really nice.
Is there going to be a recap, a get together with the committee of the group to say, this is what went right, this is what went wrong, and if so, we can attend that.
Yes, they are planning that for next week Wednesday, I believe. And it has been sent out to the committee. I don't know if there's a limit to that, but I can certainly let you know to Julia if you'd like.
Could you let me know when and where that's going to take place?
Sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, I would like to know as well. Okay.
Maybe just send it to the board.
Okay, great. So I'll send it out to the full board then.
Anyone else?
Can I make a recommendation for something? What is it called, the sawhorses in front of the tree? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Could that be like, you know what you see at movie theaters where there's weights and then you have the rope to kind of form lines? Could that be down there with garland instead of those
The barricades.
sawhorses? So, you know, you can't get through there, but it's pretty.
I think it's a nice suggestion. That was nice. Send a picture of what you like. The drawing.
Yeah, we draw that up there.
I can picture it.
Let's see what's
Thanks, Cal. Anyone else? Okay. Public comment?
Sorry, can we go back to?
Sure.
To new business, right?
Go ahead.
I don't know when it's appropriate to start talking about this, but I think we need to start addressing traffic flow and what's that's gonna look like downtown, because we are quickly approaching, like you said, demolition perhaps in the first quarter of next year for the Gateway project. So I think that conversation needs to kind of start happening. What does that look like? What's gonna be closed off? What is the traffic flow going to be? And how do we start educating people before like it starts happening? Yes.
Go ahead, Mark.
And please also keep in mind that in addition to the Gateway project, that in 2022, 2023, the Memorial Bridge will be worked on. And then after that, 2025, bridge work, or the work on US 31 will be north of the bridge. And then 2027, south of the bridge. So I would suggest thinking longer term,
Yeah.
because you are going to have traffic disruptions for probably the next 5 to 7 years off of US 31. And since our goal is to make everyone turn left or turn right, you know, it's going to be, you could think creatively about how to design traffic flow so that you have people coming to downtown, making that turn, and then navigating. Did you notice I made the two-way motion? That it might be a good thing to examine the traffic flow so that merchants and our visitors have a good experience with our downtown, because it's one of our assets, obviously. So we're going to be disrupted for a long time, not just from the Gateway, but also from that bridge work. So keep that in mind.
Absolutely. So when do those conversations start? When does that start? Is that really more of a
Yeah, I
city
think we'll
thing?
get, yeah, I think I want to make sure Jeff's there and we can talk about some of this. And then the timing is, yeah, crucial to kind of understand where how it all fits together. So at some points we're routing people down Memorial, at some points we're gonna have to do other things, but maybe we can come up with a way to kind of funnel people to the downtown. So maybe January, we have some meetings about that.
Okay.
And along the lines of, you know, sort of thinking long-term about this, it would be useful if there was a standing work group that addressed this, formed, and, you know, with you know, council and DPW and chamber and DDA and, you know, that met regularly in public, going over these plans, long-term, short-term, you know, how to deal with problems. Because having it diffused, you know, the planning for this diffused all over the place is going to be very confusing for people, and nobody will have a sense of how we are all handling this and how we can have input into it. So something standing that will go as long as these development projects last, I think would be very useful, a good tool for you to use.
Are you aware of a group that was formed before for something like this, or is this kind of?
I'll ask around.
Okay.
Yeah.
When there was some work done, it was one of the bridges years ago. I think it was sort of a DDA discussion to take advantage of that and to direct traffic. I think it happened at the DDA level, but I agree with you. Just something that can meet regularly and be nimble and at least hear and adjust if necessary. And it's timely too as we look at streetscape. We'll be having a lot of similar conversations.
I have an example for you, a model, HSCD. It's the same kind of model. They meet monthly, human services collaborative body. But something like that focused on, disruptions around development.
I was just gonna
Yes.
mention that you should probably include the CVB because they're gonna be doing out-of-county marketing that, like the Fall Visitors Guide, the Winter Trails Guide, those will be important pieces of communicating information.
Okay. And I'll talk to Jeff. I know about the bridges, it seemed like there's probably a lot of PennDOT input about how that, the rerouting has to happen, but I think if we can at least give some input, I think that'd be helpful. So I'll try to figure out how we can do that.
And it could prove to be an asset come out.
Oh, I think we take advantage of it. And that was what the last group, whatever project, I can't remember, but it was more, we took advantage of signage real estate on the riverside, so people knew that there was a downtown beyond that, because there was a lot of traffic on Memorial, I think, coming back this way. But, no, I think it can be a positive thing.
And then passing this on to all business owners downtown, how we can communicate this to them, because we're the front, we're gonna be the front point on this when people come into our businesses and say, what does that look like in the future, that we would be able to start educating people and letting them know what the traffic flow is gonna look like and how you can get to our beautiful downtown.
Like a handout or something simple.
Something,
On the
yeah.
website.
Yeah.
Thanks,
And you
Deanna.
prefer not to handle an angry mob.
That's right, that's right. If we're in the know, then it just makes us look good. Yeah.
Post it on social media as well downtown,
Yeah.
and each merchant has a site too that they get a lot of traction on.
So we kind of morphed from public comment to board comment, but go ahead, please.
Well, I've had some people call me and ask when we do start with Memorial Drive and all that, if they, rather than putting a four-way stop, he said, could we put a light in there to control the traffic? Because the last time it was, after we took the stop signs out, it got to be a mess. Everybody just running through and nobody stopping anywhere. So I said, I'll throw it out as an idea for
Sure.
you guys.
I see our city manager making notes.
He does a good job of that.
Thank you, appreciate that. Any other public comment or board member comments? Okay, thank you very much. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
I would entertain a motion to adjourn. Thank you, Bruce.
Second, Adriana.
All set, Kelly? Thank you.
I do have